Good afternoon, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. The only way I can do this is I was sitting here and I was trying to get this stuff set up and I caught myself. I don't have anybody on with us this morning. I just want to do a kind of like a recap of what we went through last night. So let me play this intro. I'm gonna
Welcome
get some
to
things set up.
Two Gents, where two seasoned gents take on the hard truths of life, success, and responsibility. In a world where the rules don't bend for us, these gents believe in doing the work, owning the struggle, and inspiring others to take action. So, pull up a chair, join the conversation, and let's figure this out together. This is Two Gents, where action speaks louder than excuses.
You know, last night we did a show, and when we did the show, we had a guest from Black Voters Matter. And Melanie was so great. I mean, some of the stuff that came up, it really touched us in different ways. It really gave us a perspective of what's going on in the world today. And as we continue to live our lives and we continue to go about things, you know, I woke up this morning, and when I woke up this morning, one of the things that got me was I was listening to a gentleman on the air, and he said, you know what? So we got to keep this fight going. We got to keep this fight going. We got to keep talking about things that's relevant in in these times. We can't never give up. We can't never stop. It doesn't matter what it takes or what it costs. We got to continue this fight. We got to go toward a purpose, and going toward that purpose this morning, I got stuck. I called Glass, and I guess Glass has something that he has to do. But I don't. I'm telling you, if it takes every day for me to get on this air, I'm gonna do it, because we always hold other people accountable. We always hold other people accountable, but sometimes we gotta hold ourselves accountable for some of the things that we do. And in what we did last night, we discussed some issues, and I just want to do a couple of videos real quick, and I brought up this when we was on the air. So I'm gonna set this up, and I'm gonna let this play, because I want you to see where we at as a whole. I think you need to see where we at, because if you don't see where we at,
No, Democrats don't know what to do. This is a nightmare.
this is what our national media and the people that we're supposed to be looking to get encouragement. And then we wonder how come organizations like BMV, BVM are out there. Just listen to this, and I'm gonna dissect some of these videos, and to be fair, I'm gonna go back and bring up some of our videos. But listen to what Van Jones is saying, please.
Somebody like Donald Trump, we thought we'd at least have Hakeem Jeffries in the speaker's chair to hold him back if we didn't have Kamala in there to do the right thing. Listen, the Democratic Party is going through a massive set of internal crises. You have a party that got trapped two ways. One, defending a broken status quo that nobody likes because they thought that Donald Trump was going to make it worse. But when you're defending the status quo, you're going to lose. And then offending most people in the country, calling everybody sexist and racist and transphobic and every other name, and then say, please follow us. That's not a good strategy, folks. Defending a broken status quo and offending most of the country turns out is not as popular as my party thought it was going to be. And so it's going to take a while for people to get it figured out.
I just want y'all to hear that part, because it just points out where we at as a nation. It points out where we're going to and what all we have tried to accomplish, and we haven't got there quite yet. But here's another narrative on the national, and then I'm gonna jump into our stuff, because I think that we have to do the same thing. We have to do the same thing. We have to be careful about what we're sharing out there, and we have to understand that we have a voice too.
Issues. They are on the run in terms of the economy. In fact, Donald Trump and Republicans are crashing the economy in real time. Donald Trump gave one of the most divisive speeches by a president in American history. 100 minutes. And he barely spent any time on the economy. Why? Because it's collapsing on his watch. They made promises with respect to lowering costs. Costs aren't going down. They're going up. Inflation is going up. You know what's coming down? Donald Trump's poll numbers. Because he is mismanaging the economy and the American people are feeling it. And we're just at the 45-day mark. We have them on the run in terms of health care, particularly as it relates to Medicaid. House Democrats stand on the side of Medicaid and the American people. Republicans are trying to enact the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. And we need to keep the pressure on them legislatively and in communities all across the country. And partnering with you, we will be able to continue to do that. And we have them on the run with respect to the GOP tax scam, where they want to cut Medicaid, cut nutritional assistance for children and families, cut veterans benefits, and potentially cut Social Security benefits by trying to decimate the Social Security Administration. We have to continue to call them out on their extremism. We will do that. And all of that is being done in service of trying to pass massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors like Elon Musk and wealthy corporations. So we have them on the run.
I wanted to end that right there because I heard him say something. We have them on the run. Do we really have them on the run? And the only reason why I'm saying that, I want you to think about it like this. If our economy is so bad right now, and it's at the bottom, and we always talk about playing checkers and chess over here. Are we still stuck in the checker game, thinking that everything is bad? Because if this economy is so low right now, what happens when it turns around? Are we gonna still give them that same credit? And when you're at the bottom, it's only one way to get out of it. It's only one direction in which you could go. It's up. So you keep critiquing them on how low this economy is. You keep critiquing them on where we at right now, and you just giving them ammunition down the road to come back and say, you know what? See, we recovered. We came out of this. They're not on the run. The Democratic Party, in case you didn't hear Van Jones, y'all on the run. And if your party leader don't know what's going on, how can you hold everybody else accountable? That was Mr. Jeffries. I didn't put words in his mouth. He just told you that right there. And I want to apologize in advance before I start showing some of these videos from what we did. This is just a recap. I think that we need to put emphasis on what Melanie brought to the table. And I'm going to let her do an intro of what she did last night, and then we're going to comment on it. I want to do that.
True to this game. When I started at 16 years old, organizing and canvassing,
you know, everything was going good till we started trying to do something. But here it is anyway.
And it's only because I had a major concern about my community at that age, right? And so I worked with a number of different wards. I've also worked independently, me and my family, in the streets, knocking on doors, just trying to make sure people understood that it's power in voting. So this has been a part of my life since I was 16 years old. So I am sure you have correct and accurate information.
You know, sometimes we got to educate our people. And my brother that's on the screen right now, Byron Glass, he's about to step into it. And this is from last night, so y'all can hear it. And the only reason why the video is so bad, and it's my video, was because I wanted to get on the air this morning, and me and my limited knowledge, because it's important for us to point out things that's out there. It's important for us to critique ourselves at the same time. And I'm not critiquing because we had an excellent show last night, but I need you to listen to what he's saying. This is Mr. Byron Glass.
Again, like I said, each one of these amendments is 150 pages plus. When you walk into the ballot box, you get 2 sentences to explain what this amendment is telling you. And wording does not look like what we have here.
That's more Melanie talking. I thought it was Byron Glass. He's gonna come in just a minute. I have to remove some of this stuff from the stage to get some more stuff on. But I want y'all to listen to what Melanie is saying while I bring up this next video.
In front of us. So now it's always your choice because it's your vote and it matters. But know your ballot. Know what's there. And every parish.
And Mr. Spike, since we're talking about voting, and we're talking about says I planted, Apollos water, and God give the increase. We're planting. You know, we're giving out as much info. Well, let me just put it this way. I can guarantee you, John, that if only one person heard this podcast tonight and it helped them, mission is accomplished. If one person would share this podcast, because none of us are getting paid.
Absolutely
5
not.
minutes, I'm sitting down, we're doing this podcast. So you have to have an investment. Melanie has her kids, young boys involved. What young kid want to be involved in? That's old stuff. No. It's not old stuff anymore. A.F. Riggins got a full schedule. He's live right here on this podcast. Got his show tomorrow night with his Bible study, Bible teaching. So, Pastor, I don't know. We haven't even touched how churches can get involved and spread this.
Look at my background.
Okay, I see it. They have a lot of ways to reaching people. And again, I like what Melvin said, educating a voter to become an educated voter.
And see, we're not going to spend that much time here tonight. I'm just jumping around.
March for voting rights. And on that bloody Sunday, they ran over with horses, beat them down. They brought Dr. King in the next week for them to march from Selma to Montgomery. That's in the 60s. Now we're in 2025, and the venue has changed. The scenery has changed, but things are still the same. And
that's Melanie and her 2 kids. They went to Edmund Pettus Bridge, and that was recent. I mean, recently, they was there doing the celebration, and you have to educate your kids. I want to make a point that I couldn't find it on our thing last night, but we were talking about Black Vote Matters. And somebody made a comment. I didn't forget who it was. And like I say, when I went back and reviewed the tape, I couldn't find the comment. But somebody said something about those ages, and they said we need to start at 14, 15, and 16. And I thought about that, and I was saying to myself, I said, why should we start so young? But if you think about it and you just get it in your mind, what age would those young people be in 4 years? They'll be voting. They'll be voters. But if we don't educate them now, if we don't bring them into the fold now, you know what ends up happening? Is that we miss them. The solution, I hate to say it. I don't hate to say it, but I will say it. The solution that we have is that we can only bring them into the fold if we educate them. If we bring them, I know, I'm going here. Our church has to be a part of this. The guy in the comment made a comment on YouTube, and he said, you know what? Is the Black church still relevant? Yeah, it's still relevant. But we have to use it. We have to use it, and we have to use it to really make a case about what's going on in the world today. And as we make that case, we have to understand it's a couple of things that we got to correct in the church. I want to bring. I'm gonna bring this up real quick, and it's a couple of things that we got to correct. And this,
I just got to add this. You know, when you go to that place that's behind me there, and you got on them big old hats, and you got all them programs that you're reading before the service. We got this service coming up. We got this coming up. We got that coming up. Educate them on that ballot that's coming up too. They may not want to hear it, but educate them, because that's more important. You coming to the service with your grandson and your son dressed like you, jumping up and down in the aisles and all that. Monday he'll be in jail, and you wish you would have knew this. You wish you would have knew this. You wish you would have listened while you was jumping Sunday. Then you would run back to that church and ask him for money to get him out of jail, to pay his bail money. We might as well just tell the truth.
So you heard that, and that was me talking. But here's where we need to go with this. Here's where we need to go with this. I'm trying to help you get better in what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish. Sometimes in life we gotta look at where we at and where we're going and how we're trying to go about doing this, because people continue to say that the black church is not relevant. But well, it's not relevant because of the people that's in there. It's not relevant because of the people that's in there. And the only way that we make it relevant is that we have to continue to put pressure on them, continue to educate them if they ain't going to educate themselves, continue to hold those people that stand up and preach to us on Sundays. We have to hold them accountable too, because they're in the communities. This Black Voter Matters that's happening in Louisiana is going to come to almost every place in America. These are amendments. These are amendments, as Melanie said. These are amendments. And we have to educate ourselves on amendments, the difference between amendments. If they change the law, it's too late. We're going to have to fight a battle that we're not prepared to fight to change it. And that's the same thing that's going on in Washington, D.C. If we don't fight now, if we don't prepare ourselves now, we're going to be in a fight of our life. And we're almost there. We're getting there. We're trying to get to a point where we're helping people. Melanie says something right here, and I'm gonna bring it in and let y'all listen to it, because it's relevant.
Have local government to help us back then on the Pettis Bridge, right? Mm-hmm. But we did have a constitution. Mm-hmm. Look at your Supreme Court. You understand what's happening here, guys? It's time out. It's time out. We gotta stop it, and the only way to stop it right now is we gotta get in there and vote, and we gotta teach everybody around us why it's important and why it means that to their community. And John, I am so sorry, but that was so huge. I'm sorry.
Did you hear what she said? One of the things that she said is, we didn't have local law enforcement when they was at the Pettis Bridge. They didn't have law enforcement down there, the local law enforcement, but they did have the Constitution on their side. And that's the thing that we need to understand as Americans. It's 4 years. It's 4 years. They can make all the changes they want to. And the only way that they stay in place is if we don't get out and vote. If we don't get out and vote, it's never going to change. We need to stop licking our wounds and hoping that things are going to change. We have to get out and make a difference. And our difference is voting. We have to educate our kids. Those same kids 4 years from now, those same kids, some of them 2 years from now. We have to educate our kids, and we have to realize that in order to move forward, it's going to take everybody. It's going to take everybody. And what I like about the BVM, and I'm gonna try to get the acronym right, but what I liked about them was that if you go out and you look at their website, it's gonna take everybody, not just us. We're gonna have to re-educate our voters. We're gonna have to re-educate our people. We got to do it. If we don't do it, we can't. We can't hold anybody else accountable for what happens out there if we can't take care of our own. You know, I want to go back to this because this is important, and I want to go. I need to go somewhere else, but I'm gonna do this first because I need you to understand. I didn't catch it during the show, but I caught it after the show, and I'm glad I caught it because this is important too because it's affecting a person that he knows, and this thing is going to affect people that we know, and we're going to be able to identify with what he's saying right now because I want you to listen to what John is saying. John was hurt, but we didn't see that part of. We moved on from that, but I want to stop right here and let John know that I saw it, and everybody else. We kind of rolled over because we were trying to make another point. But listen to what John's saying, and then you'll understand a little bit.
This morning, about one of the kids that I used to coach in youth sports from 8 to 12. I think he's 17 now. He got arrested on drug and gun possession charges. And this Third Amendment was the first thing that hit me. It's like, this is why I'm in, and I'm going to lose my voice talking about this maybe, but this is the very reason why this can't go. I mean, they're just kids not ready for what they think they're getting into. It just, there's just no room.
Did you see, John? Did you see where it took him? It didn't take him down the street around the corner. It took him back to his position that he was making. His position was that I know this young man. I see what's out there, and I see what can happen. And it's nothing that I can do about it if we allow it to happen. Always, and here's another one of these videos because I don't want to get too far without sharing enough information to help, because I'm gonna go back to, before I end this thing, I'm gonna go back and show y'all what the whole scenario why we got BVM in last night. But here's a little bit of history that Pastor was sharing, and we need to hear that.
Right. March for voting rights. And on that bloody Sunday, they ran over with horses, beat them down. They brought Dr. King in the next week for them to march from Selma to Montgomery. That's in the 60s. Now we're in 2025, and the venue has changed. The scenery has changed, but things are still the same.
Did you hear what you said? Look at that picture right there. That's Melanie and her kids again. She's educating them. She took them out there. She's a member of BVM, but she was so concerned about what was going on at that particular time that she took her kids out there to educate them, to give them to help them understand why we need a voice. And I'm gonna go. I want to play this other part, and then I'm gonna bring up something that I need y'all to focus on. Hold on, just 1 second.
A lot of the social services is available. They're trying to do away with. They're just like the beating of Rotten King ought to motivate. We ought to become motivated. Now, I know you're in Louisiana. My question is.
See, that's that technology again. They don't want us to get it in, but I'm gonna have to. And that one was on me, so I'm gonna add this one. I want y'all to listen to what he's saying again, and please, whatever you do, pay close attention to what he's saying.
How can we make sure this is nationally being enacted nationally. I think we're in Texas, voting out here in Texas. Texas is
Yes, yes, the organization is national. And I can share a link. I'm working right now to share the link to Black Voters Matter. And when you go to that website, it gives you opportunity to one volunteer, to opt in to get communications. And I think that is a great place to start. So glad you asked that question, Pastor, because when you get connected, the outrage that you feel inside that you may think nobody shares with you, you are now connected with a group of people that shares that same outrage. You can imagine how I'm a 16-year-old person. My principal was furious with me. I mean, I was a straight A student, on top of my class, and now I'm cutting up. And I cut up for a year and a half. I was a junior, and I cut up, right? And he could not understand it. And can you imagine being in a space and place, especially being a young person, where you're not connected with people that feel the same passion that you feel. So,
As I listen to her, I'm gonna bring up this image. And it's sad, but that's the church behind it, right? The church played a role, an important role. Have we got to a point where we're so grown that we can't be told what to do? Have we gotten to a point where we make too much money that we can't be told what to do? We're not going to the church, I understand, but you can listen to it online. You have that ability to do that. You have the ability to make things change, to bring about a change in a different way. And we need to start figuring it out now. We need to start figuring it out now, not tomorrow, not the next day. And if I'm gonna say it, if we can't depend on somebody to bring us a good message, if we can't depend on somebody to deliver on their promises, not just to wait at the last minute and say, hey, this is what we're doing right now. This is what we got going. We have to make that change. And I'm gonna share this because we have to get out and do this. This is what we need to do. And I got to go somewhere else with this because but that's what we need to concentrate on. That's where we need to kind of take this whole scenario of what we talked about, Black Voters Matter last night. That's where we need to go. We need to get people out and vote. We need to figure out how to get them out there. We need to educate them now. And that when I got up this morning, that's what caught my mind. Is that we said it. We said it on the air, but it slipped past us. We didn't catch it then. But as I digested it, and I don't know who said it, but it was one of us that was on the air last night to say, you know what? 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. We may not get these other people in line, but we can prepare them. It's going to take a church. It's going to take a social group. It's going to take everything out there to make this happen. And I got one more video, and I like to say it like this. We got a term that we use, and I use it. It may not be nobody else's term, but it's me. See, we've been doing this thing a long time. And I want to see if this is where Glass comes in and says this, but I need y'all. I'm gonna
4 of them to be exact on March 29th, 2025. I think Early voting begins on March 15th of 2025. Early voting ends on March 22nd. So as a matter of fact, JT, early voting is going to start Saturday. If you need to know any information about your status and find out your polling location, all you got to do is come back to this podcast. You can look down at the bottom. You'll see where there's a scan of your Q code, and you can pull that up, and it's going to take you directly to where you need to go to find this information. Now, John, this is pretty simple to me. Pastor Riggins, pretty simple to me. Ron, pretty simple to me. You asked to be fed, we just gave you a steak. You asked for some water, we just gave you a gallon. You asked for some money, we just gave it to you. Everything that you need to know about this particular election, we just gave it to you. So not only did we enlighten you, we informed you. Now, we're not asking you to agree or disagree with anything. We're asking you to go fact check information for yourself and make a conscious decision.
That was Glass. Did you hear what you said?
One is asking
We need to
that, then 1,000 is asking.
more Glass.
And Ron, I'm gonna go back to what you just said. We are so confused. We got 900,000 voices coming out, and ain't nobody on the same page. So you got this group choosing this group. You got this group choosing this group, and everybody in the vote, and somebody get mad and they want to sink it because they're not the leader. That's our problem. We got too much jealousy, too much envy, and too much all this other stuff. No, hell, they're probably trying to say who the captain this year. Well, if you look at it, we all are captain. We all do what we got to do. And my point on that is that when you're talking about a clear message, that means that sometimes, even if you don't agree with what's being done, if it's in the best interest of what y'all are doing, you got to go with that. That's what you.
I want to stop that there, and then I want to go back here because you heard what Glass just got through saying, but we need to go back to here because he's not the only one saying that.
Democrats don't know what to do. This is a nightmare. Somebody like Donald Trump, we thought we'd at least have Hakeem Jeffries in the speaker's chair to hold him back if we didn't have Kamala in there to do the right thing. Listen, the Democratic Party is going through a massive set of internal crises. You have a party that got trapped two ways. One, defending a broken status quo that nobody likes because they thought that Donald Trump was going to make it worse. But when you're defending the status quo, you're going to lose. And then offending.
I need you to hear this other one too, right behind him.
everybody-
So I'm gonna go ahead and bring that up too.
On three core issues. They are on the run in terms of the economy. In fact, Donald Trump and Republicans are crashing the economy in real time. Donald Trump gave one of the most divisive speeches by a president in American history. 100 minutes. And he barely spent any time on the economy. Why? Because it's collapsing on his watch. They made promises with respect to lowering costs. Costs aren't going down. They're going up. Inflation is going up. You know what's coming down? Donald Trump's poll numbers. Because he is mismanaging the economy and the American people are feeling it. And we're just at the 45-day.
I'm trying to share something with you guys, and it looks like it's not. I'm gonna have to add it. There it is. That's what last night's show was about. Amendment 1, rules for out-of-state lawyers and courts. I think Melanie broke that down too. If you didn't get it, go out there and listen to it. Amendment 2, change to taxes and state revenue. I think I'm gonna read that one because may reduce income taxes and provide more tax breaks for seniors, but could result in funding shortages for public services like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. I don't know if I can do this. I hope I get this one right. If we don't do nothing else today, I hope that I get this one right because sometimes you got to present it in a way that people can understand it. And in presenting it in a way that people can understand it, they can relate to it because at times we have a hard time understanding. I'm not for sure, and if I get it wrong, don't hold it against me. But I'm gonna bring this poster back in just a minute. But and then I'm gonna close out of
in
here.
line with what we talked about 10 or 12 years ago when podcasts was not even heard of, but we were out there doing them on the Smoking Glass Hour, on Real People, Real Life, on Blog Talk Radio, on Blog Talk USA. We had 7 days of shows, 24 hours a day, that was not even heard of. So we're on the right track with what we're doing. Ron, I'm going to bring you in with any questions and or comments to Melanie.
Hey Melanie, I just want to say, I know I didn't get your permission to bring you in to show your pictures like that, but I want them to know that you was on the forefront out there. I want them to know that you went to.
It's one thing to give them information, but and it's another thing to give them the answer to the information that you're giving. Okay, why would I support anybody putting a 13 or 14 or 15 or 16-year-old kid in an adult prison, trying them as an adult? It's not even imaginable. Kids, man, some kids, hell, we can look at us and look at what we were doing. We were 16 or 17. Hell, we didn't know what we was doing. We probably was afraid of what mama would do, but we still did it. So,
That was Glass, and he's making some good points there, and we're holding these kids accountable. We're taking. They want to take our kids, and I remember somebody doing the show said that they was trying to get our kids into Angola, and they did a series on how bad Angola is a prison in Louisiana, and this is what we're really trying to say. It's happening in Louisiana right now, but if we don't get something in place, it's gonna happen in your neighborhood, my city, and everywhere else. Because even in the city of Houston, we're going through some changes right now. Big city. What we're talking about happening is in small town America, and I want to let Melanie come back in, and then I'm gonna bring up this flyer, and we're gonna get out of here. But I had to go on the air, and I'm glad that I came on. But it's a couple of things. I'm run a couple of Melanie videos that you probably already seen, but I want to leave you with her, and then I want to leave you with this flyer that we're working on. So here's Melanie's kind of like intro, and then I'm gonna just jump around from there, and then I'm gonna bring up that flyer and close this out.
So thank y'all for having me. I am Melanie Salisbury, a regional organizer with Black Voters Matter. I'm true to this company, but never true to this game. I started at 16 years old, organizing and canvassing. It's only because I had a major concern about my community at that age, right? And so I worked with a number.
Do the arithmetic. 2 more years before she had the opportunity to vote, and she was upset. I'm gonna let her finish.
Number of different wards. I've also worked independently, me and my family, in the streets, knocking on doors, just trying to make sure people understood that it's power in voting. So this has been a part of my life since I was 16 years old. So I am here today with you guys because we have a very important election coming up March the 29th, and I want to make sure that our people are prepared, not just with information, but with voter plans, materials that you need, help you check your status to ensure that where your polling places are, and even help you put a plan together to get there, right? And so I'm super excited about being here with you guys. Thank y'all for the platform. We're doing that work by explaining it. That's simply all I did, man. Mm-hmm. We have to be good stewards over knowledge, just as we do with material things. So thank you so much for that. We have local government to help us back then on the Pettis Bridge, right?
But we did have a constitution. Look at your Supreme Court. You understand what's happening here, guys? It's time out. It's time out. We gotta stop it, and the only way to stop it right now is we gotta get in there and vote, and we gotta teach everybody around us why it's important and why it means that to their community. And John, I am so sorry, but the doggone United States,
State by state.
this governor is trying to change the Constitution to fit the ideals of a few.
You know, I as you think about what she said a whole lot in a short period of time, and I think that's where we need to focus on what she's saying, and we need to understand what she's saying, because it's going to affect everybody. And I think Glass shared something with Michael Steele that I want to get to later, but I think that as we get to it, we need to look at these amendments. Amendment 3, charging some minors as adults. Charging some minors as adults. And Amendment 4. Now, these are amendments. And somewhere within there, I'm not going back to it, but somewhere within there, they said when you go in the voting booth, this is what they're talking about. Amendment 4, filing judge vacancies faster. This is what they're talking about. See, they when they present this on the floor, they might have, as they say, about 1,500 sheets of paper. But when you go to vote for it, it's down to 2 sentences. And those sentences are meant to confuse and throw you off. They also got early voting going on, and as we go out and vote, I hope somebody, and I said this last night, I hope somebody comes back and say, well, you know, this is the way this was worded. And in Louisiana, I hope they can take that and push out the narrative that this is the way you should vote. And because it's too late after you done voted. It's too late after you done voted. And before I close out, prepare our kids. We need to prepare our kids. And I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna close out with this. Too many of our churches have announcements. They have somebody going up doing announcements. And that person gets dressed up. I don't care if they have on hats. They probably the first lady of the church or whoever they appoint with those announcements. During those announcements, we need to have them educate the church. We need to have them educate the kids. Because if you don't educate them now, we can't blame anything else on nobody else because we didn't do it. Instead of worrying about, how can I say it? I want to be political. I can't even say the word. I want to be correct in how I say this because I don't want to offend somebody where they run away and say, well, he was all negative. No, I'm not all negative. What I want to do is encourage us to do better than what we have in the past. And if we can do better than what we have in the past, we can get through these 4 years. But getting through these 4 years ain't nothing. It's not going to help us if we can't change the narrative at the end of these 4 years. Because if you're at the bottom of the barrel and you're looking up, it's a long way up. If you're in the valley and you're looking up, it's a long way up. But don't let them fool you into thinking that everything's so bad and then around election time, everything starts to turn around. See, Glass said it last night. We call out people. Here's something I want you to digest while our people out there talking. Here's a big question. If Biden would have got elected, would we be where we at right now? Maybe not in the tariffs, but would we be right here? Because if I remember, the price of eggs was going up when he was in office. The price of goods was high when he was in office. And the only thing that they're doing is getting higher. They're going higher and higher. And one day, just one day, we're going to sit down and talk about them tariffs, because we need to know the whole story. Don't be fooled by what one side is saying against the other one. We need to know the whole story. It's a whole nother place I could go. With that being said, I'm gonna try to find this Q code where you can look at it, scan it. If you can see it, I'm gonna take that banner off. I got the banner off. If you can see that Q code that's in the middle of the screen, in the middle of the screen up there, scan it. If you don't know where to go vote, it'll take you to those locations. But start checking now. Because the election, early voting is March 15th. Early voting ends March 22nd. And election day is March 29th. If you're not out there beating that drum right now, and if you're not getting Pookie, Vanessa, Elnora, let me think of one more, Viola, and all of them out to vote, or let me go here, blue, yellow, orange, purple, whatever you name your kids. It used to be cars, Mercedes, Lamborghinis, Cavassier, Henderson. We need to get all of them out and vote. You named them. Well, now it's a new generation out there. They naming them Brown. They naming them Dirt. They coming up with these different names. But we need to get all those people out and vote. Pookie was the name from my time. We need to get Pookie out of there and get him to the polls. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your day. Have a blessed day. And if you get an opportunity, encourage somebody to go out and vote. Louisiana is not the only one that's going through this, and everybody else will be going through this. So I want to say, I always like to end with this, and I've been doing it for a while. Thank God. And if we stop thanking God, we're in trouble. Have a good day. Bye-bye.